Are we live?
Just say we live. Yep, it says we live now.
It does? Oh, okay. There we
Yep.
go. All right. What's up, everybody? Hey, Pax. Hey,
Pass.
Adrian.
Dahlia.
What's
Hey,
up,
everybody. Laura.
Bria?
Hey, baby. How you feeling?
Hey, Mama Bash.
Me, mom. Hey, baby. Guys, we're
Hey,
back. Sorry about
Talia.
last week. I just completely
Huh?
overslept. So I wanted to say that. I completely overslept last week. Because somehow, when I stay up late, I can't be up this time of day. Thinker, on the other hand, she's just going a marathon. I'm not capable. I'm not able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't blame you. I
Man,
don't blame
that's
you.
crazy. But
Yeah.
glad to be back. Where are we today? We finished at 17 or 18. Where we at?
We're on 18 now. I
18.
can
Okay.
guarantee you my computer's finna act stupid.
Let's not do it, computer. Let's get to it. You want me to read it? The way we are? Well, you want to show the screen. I can't show the screen.
Let, I'm gonna try. Let me see. We found somebody who actually reads from the message today on Reads Live.
Not the message.
Yes.
Not the message. There are
Hmm.
bad Bible translations, and then there is the message. They just say whatever they want to say.
Yeah.
Hey, Miss
Yeah.
Charlene, the message is crazy.
We was like, did she just say the message?
The message is crazy.
See what I'm about to do. All right. Okay. It works. All right.
I hadn't even heard the message in like years. Like, who uses them? That's crazy. The message is wild. I can't even get over it. Okay. All right. Boom. We good?
Yeah.
All right. Where we at? 18?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's
All right.
catch
Here
it.
we go. The Lord appeared to Abraham by the oaks of Mamre as he sat at the entrance of his tent in the heat of the day. He looked up and saw three men standing near him. When he saw them, he ran from the tent entrance to meet them and bowed down to the ground. He said, "My Lord, if I find favor with you, do not pass by your servant. Let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. Let me bring a little bread, wow, that you may refresh yourselves, and after that you may pass on, since you have come to your servant." So they said, do as you have said? And Abraham hastened into the tent to Sarah and said, "Make ready quickly 3 measures of choice flour, knead it, and make cakes." That's like 36 pounds of flour. Like what?
It's a
36
lot of
pounds of
flowers.
flour. Huh?
You had to make a really big cake.
Exactly. I guess for a really big God,
They
I guess.
growing boys. They some
Huh.
growing boys out there. A lot of cake.
Abraham ran to the herd and took a calf, tender and good, and gave it to the servant, who hastened to prepare it. Then he took curds and milk and the calf, and he had prepared and set it before them. And he stood by them until the tree while they ate. They said to him, "Where is your wife Sarah?" And he said, "There in the tent." Then one said, "I will surely return to you in due season, and your wife Sarah shall have a son." And Sarah was listening at the tent entrance behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. So Sarah laughed at her, saying, "After I have grown old and my husband is old, shall I be fruitful?" The Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Shall I indeed bear a child now that I am old?'" That's funny. The Lord asked that. I thought he'd know your heart. Is anything too wonderful for the Lord? At the set time I will return to you in due season, and Sarah shall have a son. But Sarah denied, saying, "I did not laugh, for she was afraid." She said, "Yes, you did." Oh, he said, "Yes, you did laugh."
You
Then the
laugh, didn't
men's, huh?
Don't lie. You laugh.
Exactly. You want to talk about this first before we get to the Sodom?
Well, I just want to bring up just this little one part. Well, two things. One, this later on in Exodus, you're gonna read that nobody knew Yahweh by his name before Moses did,
Right.
right? But Yahweh was clearly here. No man has seen God. Clearly saw him. They ate food together,
Mm-hmm.
right? They ate big ass cakes, right?
Yeah.
This is enough flour for 36-pound cakes, right? So right, so this just keep this in your mind. Also, you see this, it's got this little theme that you'll find in the Sodom and Gomorrah story, which is I think is the next chapter, as a matter of fact. Yeah,
Hey,
that you'll
look what
find.
you named yourself.
I'm his therapist today. He gonna need some help. um, you will find this theme in the Sodom and Gomorrah story. You find the same theme in the Lot story. Not the Lot story. The story where the Levite chops up his concubine. And it's this theme of running out and seeing somebody in the city say, "Come to my house. Come to my house." Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take care of everything you need. Just come to my house. Run in there, cook something to eat. We're gonna feed you. Blah 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 blah. Um, this is a common like folk tale, right? Right. And you know that these stories are kind of built upon each other because you keep seeing, hey, it was some wise men in the center of the town. We ran out and got them. We brought them to the house. It was a good man out in the center of the town. We ran out and got him and brought him to the house. Right. Like this is just a Hebrewism, I guess is the way to call it. Right. Like just this is kind of like once upon a time. Right.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear once upon a time, you know, okay, somebody's telling me a fairy tale. Not that something could not happen once upon a time, right? But
Mm-hmm.
if I start a story off that way, you know, okay,
That
it's a
this
fairy
is
tale.
a story, like a
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
This is one of those.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I'm
Um.
saying.
Okay. Let's see. And it's the Elohist, right? Because it's talking about Yahweh.
What is a
It-
Yahwist?
I mean Yahweh is because it's talking about Yahweh. Like this is I'm learning the JEPD.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be the Southern Kingdom. This would be
This is the
Judah,
subject. Yes.
right? Okay.
Also, randomly enough, while it says Yahweh was there, this is a redaction because Yahweh shows up. It's not just Yahweh,
Hmm.
right? But it's almost as if they forgot that they said how many people was there,
Three
right? It was
people, right?
three
Yeah.
people was there,
Hmm.
right? And then out of nowhere, it's just like, no, 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 no. It was Yahweh was just talking,
Hmm.
right? And he said, oh, I'm gonna come back for you, right? And when I come back, right? So there is this divine council that comes to visit, right? Uh, the head of which the speaker of the house, in other words, or in similitude, the speaker for this divine council is Yahweh, right? So when you read God sits amongst, he judges amongst the gods, but this is henotheism, right? Like this, while it is Yahwistic in the idea of, Yahweh's doing the speaking, right? It's it's redacted into a henotheistic story where there's a divine council that comes to visit with Abram, and he's the speaker for that divine council.
Hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
You talking about Yahweh is?
Yahweh is,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But these other two beings, well, it can be read that these other two beings were just human beings that came with Yahweh.
Hmm.
That's a very kind of fringe reading of it, though. For the most part, it is assumed that this is a divine council. Some people would say it's the Trinity, but it was three distinct beings. It
But they
wasn't three in
were,
one.
but he called them men. So like, wouldn't this be like the first time this God incarnated into human form?
Hmm.
So Jesus wouldn't be the first God in the flesh,
Nope. And he had to be because he ate,
right?
right? He had a stomach, he had teeth,
And had to wash his feet.
and to wash his feet.
Uh, yeah. And so one thing that I did learn about how to recognize the Yahwehist uh, text is they're gonna anthropomorphize the God in all of their texts,
Hmm.
and it's gonna have why how is your hoarseness rubbing off on me?
It's through the Wi-Fi.
Like
Through the Wi-Fi.
wow,
Through
but
the Wi-Fi.
virus computer viruses.
Computer viruses. Crazy.
But Yeah, okay. And so another characteristic of the Yahweh is that it is going to be more so like a storytelling because it's telling like oral traditions over time.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And so yeah. So it's three men or two God and two angels, and God has incarnated into a human body at
A
this
flesh
point,
body. Yes. Yes.
a flesh
Yes.
body. Okay.
Yeah. And
Um
so he's the head representative, the head speaker of whatever this. Like if you think that these other two beings are just human, fair enough. And again, I've read people who say they're just humans. I've read people who say this is a divine council. And I think Dan McClellan leans more towards the divine council. And I forget, I read somebody who said no, this is just Yahweh and two guys, right?
okay.
But again, in the next chapter, you're gonna read something very simple. Well, I won't get to it. But two angels pop up in Sodom and Gomorrah, right?
Mhm.
Same idea. Somebody runs out to the center of town and says, "Hey, come eat with it. Come eat with me in the house," right? But again, this is a once upon a time kind of thing, right? So the story just kind of keeps retelling itself with different twists and turns.
Okay. Um let's see, they said to him, "Where's your wife Sarah?" So they basically they came to reiterate the covenant with Sarah, or the like reiterate that Sarah is going to bear a son, right? The
Mhm.
promise of Isaac. So which we heard in the last chapter, right? So this was a like a just a checkup.
I'm guessing so, or another version of the story, right? Um, let's say you go out with somebody and let's say it's a fight somewhere,
Hmm.
and you get back and y'all telling somebody about the fight, and you like, man, first this dude came over here and he started talking to Buddy and he said da 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 da, and then somebody be like, no, that ain't how it happened. What happened was he came over there, but then the other dude came from that side, and that's
Hmm.
when that happened, right?
Yeah.
This is kind of like that, kind of, right? It's like,
Hmm.
oh no. God told Abraham that she's gonna have God told Sarah that she's gonna have a baby here. They're like, no. What happened was he came to visit and then told him here, right? And
Okay.
if you read it in a collective, if you read it in like a linear story, it looks like a checkup, but it's more likely that these are just two separate traditions that you're turning into a one storyline.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then so and this would be another place where they again humanized him because he asked, "Why did Sarah laugh?"
right.
Although someone who doesn't necessarily subscribe to uh God being having human
Omniscient.
tendencies and not, being all knowing, they would say that he was being sarcastic or uh
Anybody, if they think he is all knowing, they like, oh, he was testing, But
mhm,
if they think he is all knowing, it's like, well, he knew he was just, saying it sarcastically, but it depends on how you read into his character,
mhm.
right? And it's hard to get somebody to, if someone believes that God is omniscient or that this God is omniscient, then you'll never convince them that he's not. And if someone believes that he isn't, you never convince them that he is.
And here's the thing, like, okay, so with them anthropomorphizing Yahweh here, and I know like the reason that they would do it is to show that Abraham had a relationship with the God, right? Like that
Yeah.
Abraham um communed and ate with the God, which they end up
Mm-hmm.
showing the same thing with Moses and the 70 elders, which is
Mm-hmm.
odd because you got the 70 elders, kind of like the 70 sons of God,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you have this divine council here in this too. So it's kind of like the story, the archetype of the story being told over and over again, but with different characters
Yep.
to kind of show the humanness of Yahweh,
Yes. And
and the fact that
the relationship that their patriarchs had with the supreme, uh, like an actual relationship with a supreme deity. Now, folk having relationships,
mhm,
but
yeah.
he ain't never sit down and eat buttermilk and cornbread with you.
Right. So I think that's what I was going to say. Like I think they're trying to show that Yahweh can, in fact, engage in the physical. Because you know how we ask on the live, like, how are you engaging with your God in the physical, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the material world. I think this is to show that Yahweh can do that. Like this is adding like that humanness to it, like
Mm-hmm.
to his character because they call them men, right? It's three men. Um, he has to wash his feet because his feet gets dirty. He has to eat
It's
it,
hungry.
right?
Yeah.
Um, which means that the fact that he had to eat, if he did not eat, he would get hungry. If he got
Yeah.
hungry, then his body would die.
Yeah.
So he was very human here, right?
And he didn't even bring no food. That's another thing. Right? You know he was gonna be hungry. Damn.
And look, and then you see Abraham didn't eat. Abraham stood next to them under the tree while they ate
Yeah.
36 pounds of cake and
That's crazy.
two cows.
And two whole cows.
Like you're God, and you coming to take it from me and eating?
I'm not
No.
sure a Burger King restaurant serves 36 pounds of bread in a day. And
Then
now
on top of
two
that,
whole
like
God stopped by for a hamburger, which is crazy.
exactly. And
A
then
lot.
how does Yahweh and whether these is two angels, two other gods, they have to eat. Um, but when they go to heaven, they it says they're not gonna eat. Then there'll be no need for food. There'll be no need for them to thirst,
Well,
no hunger, nothing.
on earth, you're gonna be hungry.
So when Yahweh comes to earth, he is human, and he's it. So it sounds like to me with them humanizing him or putting him in this anthropomorphic status, he's limited by time and space. Like he's bound by time and space when he's here,
By
right?
biology, yep. By all of biology. You gotta eat, you gotta sit down, you need to be in the shade. Right? You can kind of hear, you can kind of not hear. Did she just laugh? Right? Why is she? You're limited by
He's
the
not all knowing
normal.
anymore.
Yeah,
So then the Christians can't be engaging with their God in the physical. There's like literally it would make him just like them.
yeah.
It
Right.
would make him just like
Or
yeah,
at
it
least,
would.
yeah. We're using this as archetype. Yes.
Yeah, like it would literally take away which makes sense how Jacob was able in the story. Jacob wrestled with him and Jacob had him in a headlock. Jacob was able to get the best of him and he had
Mm-hmm.
to use sorcery to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah, okay. That makes sense. Them doing that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that back then when they were writing these stories, they didn't think about the fact that by them doing that and trying to show that Yahweh would interact with humankind or could interact with humankind and that he actually did with Abraham, that they were also limiting his power at the same time in the
Yes.
story.
Also, divinely autistic is the 70 sons of El. Right.
Mm,
Yahweh just happens to be one of the 70 sons of El. Well, from
yeah.
the more ancient, like the Canaanite uh, pantheon.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, Mom. Okay, we didn't
Ain't
finish the reading
playing
the
what
chapter.
you said. She keep waiting to tap the screen. Huh?
I know, right? We didn't finish the chapter, did we? No, we got a couple more verses, right?
No. Okay. So the next one, let's see. Hold on. Okay. Wait, let's talk a little bit about Sarah.
Okay.
Um, so here Sarah is saying like she's in her old age and she no longer has a cycle. Or did she have a cycle? It says has ceased to be with Sarah. So
In
if
the
that's
way
an
of women.
age, it had ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women.
Yeah.
So it had ceased to be with her. So like that doesn't necessarily mean that like she's went through menopause. That could literally mean that she never had a cycle. Because the Jewish tradition is that she was intersex.
Oh, well, a Jewish
According to
tradition is
Isaiah
that she's in a sex.
51, according to Isaiah 51:52, right? She was intersex. Give me just a second. I'll bring up the
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay, my phone rang. My bad. My bad. Of course. Okay. The thing about it's kind of like when people says the Bible says X.
No, I was saying according to Jewish tradition,
That's what I'm saying.
right?
According to a
Yeah.
Jewish tradition, she was intersex. Not according to all Jewish traditions.
According
According to a Jewish tradition. So according to
right.
Isaiah,
Yeah.
such is true.
No,
Right. But somebody would completely disagree with Isaiah,
No,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So Isaiah 51, 1 through 2. Give me just a second. I don't know if my computer is going slow.
You say Isaiah 51?
Hmm. Yeah, my computer is still spinning.
It's okay. I got you right here.
Let me see if I can pull it
Um,
up over here. Okay, thank you.
okay, it says, "Hearken to me, ye that follow after righteousness, ye that seek the Lord. Look unto the rock whence ye are hewn, and to the hole of the pit whence ye are digged. Look unto
Okay, they
Abraham your
said so.
father."
Hewn. Yeah. So heal. Can you hear me?
I hear you. Am I
Can you
dragging? Am
hear
I
me?
lagging?
I think I'm frozen.
Move. No, no, no.
Am I frozen?
No, no. Your mic is changing colors. Yeah, you moving. Well, I mean, it's kind of
Yeah, I'm
laggy, but
lagging. Hold
yeah.
on. Let me close this. Okay. Let's see if this works. I
Okay.
had 4 tabs open, so okay.
Slow it down.
All right. Can you read it again?
Okay. It says.
Okay.
It says. Sorry, excuse my voice. It says, "Hearken to me, ye that follow after righteousness, ye that seek the Lord. Look unto the rock whence ye are hewn, and to the hole of the pit whence ye are digged."
Yeah. So according to Ibn Ezra in the Midrashi Talmud, right? Um, this right here refers to when it says, "Look to the rock whence ye are hewn." The hewn is Abraham being made into a male, and to the hole of the pit which you are digged refers to Sarah being made into a female. And then verse 2 says, "Look unto Abraham your father and unto Sarah that bare you, for I called him alone and blessed him and increased him." And so that those are the two scriptures that they use, that even Ezra uses in the Talmud to say that Abraham and Isaac, that the reason why um, they could not have children was because they were intersex. And then there's another scripture that he uses to point to saying that Sarah didn't have a womb and that God did a surgery on Sarah, turned her into a female. Abraham did his own surgery when God told him to circumcise himself. Um, but or Abraham did his own surgery on himself, and then he Sarah had him be with Hagar, and then Sarah got jealous, and God decided to do surgery on Sarah. It's in Safaria.org. And it's also, y'all, it's in the Google Drive if you want to check out that tradition. But I thought that was pretty interesting how they tried to explain why why Sarah and Abraham were barren. And then they talk about the different genders in antiquity, like the 7 different genders that they had in Judah in antiquity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that was pretty interesting.
That is interesting. And that's a really, really weird way of reading that scripture in Isaiah. But okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. I think
Why
it's
do you say it's weird?
that's a really creative license to read that from Isaiah. But like if I were to just go and read that scripture to someone and say, "Yeah, this is about intersex people," no one would go, "Yeah, I get it."
Right.
Right? Like
Yeah.
the
Like,
but as a tradition, I mean, people have their traditions, right? But I'm saying um, this seems like spiritual death to
mhm.
me, right? And then we have these creative licenses with how we read text. You know,
You
uh,
say spiritual death?
like when people be like, "Oh, it says death," but no, it meant spiritual death, and we be like, "That's not what that says." right? Like that's not that word
Well,
doesn't say
I
that.
think they're saying because hewn means to cut, right? And so
Yeah.
there's to cut and to carve, right? And so uh, I wish I could pull it up, but my computer is lagging. Um, and then it refers to Abraham and Sarah right after that, right? Um, huh?
Hold on, sorry about that. Somebody's coming in. Okay. Yes, to heal means to cut, blah blah blah. And I'm saying that the creative license of interpretation is has always been used. In other words, that's what I'm getting at. So, like if you were to tell someone today that,
Mhm.
oh, um, Abraham and Sarah were intersex, and they said, where did you get that from? And you read them Isaiah 51 verse 1 and 2, they would go, that's not what that says, right? But it is a tradition and interpretation that it works that way, right? But
Right.
this just shows the
Yeah.
creative
I mean,
license.
Noah, huh?
No, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said no. I didn't even think like when I first studied that from Ibn Ezra, I was like, how does hewn and digged even work in that? And like in their explanation, they were saying like the cutting, the hewn is his genitals being cut and turned into a man, and then the dig is the hollowing out of, you know,
Of her
of her,
womb.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
turning her
see
into
how
a
they did
female.
it.
Yeah,
I mean, I see what they did there, but it's like, okay, that's a really creative way of reading that, right? Like, okay, that's a
yeah,
creative way of reading that, and as a tradition, okay, if that's how you want to build your tradition, cool. Um, but if you read that to your everyday, if you read that today to a believer, they would not be the spirit would not tell them, oh yeah, that means that they were intersex. You get what I'm
yeah.
saying?
because
Right.
they don't see they wouldn't take a Jewish tradition anyway. Like they
Mm,
don't think like they literally don't think that these are Jewish texts. Like they anytime I say that I'm studying the Talmud, they'll be like, "You're reading the Talmud? That's demonic." And they'll laugh, but like she ha ha ha, she studies the Talmud. Like they wouldn't respect it no way.
yeah,
They
yeah,
think it's their text.
right, right, and but but that same kind of creative license is used when people say things like, "Oh, that word death is a spiritual death." Same, it's the same idea, right? It's the same like I interpret
Yeah,
this way. It is a tradition that death was spiritual. Not that the text says it,
yeah,
but hey, this is what I'm getting from it, right? The same thing is true here, right? This is
yeah. That's
okay.
why I
When
said
this
a Jewish tradition.
yes, it's a Jewish, yes, and somebody else may have another tradition, right? Like they,
You
of
cut
course,
out. Am I freezing?
a little bit.
Okay, I don't know what to do.
I hear you now.
Am I still frozen?
Move.
Oh, you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you moving now. You're moving now.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
No, yeah, I agree. That's why I said it's a Jewish tradition,
Yes.
and it's actually like rabbinic literature with Ibn Ezra,
Yes.
which I think is one of the earliest rabbis that argued or debated. I wouldn't necessarily say they debated the literature. What did they do?
They midrash
Th-
did. Uh, a midrash is an argument, but now I don't want to
It's
call
an
it an
argument.
argument. More as it's a reasoning. It's a
Okay,
come
yeah,
tell me why you think this,
yeah,
right? And oddly enough, in Hebrew culture, going back to the word Israel, which means to wrestle with God, in Hebrew culture, people don't think they have the answers. They have the questions. They have their reasonings, right?
hmm
I see this because of this. I'm seeing this because of this. And now our theology is more like this is what it is. This is the way it must be. Uh, but the rabbis, and again, I don't want to use the word argued, but they disagreed a lot. No, I see it this way. I see it this way. And this
yeah,
rabbi saw it this way. And this rabbi saw it this way. Right. And so they would start
right,
chronicling how they saw it.
right.
Yeah.
I know why I'm freezing. I got 12 tabs open behind this one, and I didn't know it.
hidden tabs.
I thought I minimized them, and I went into I thought I went into a private tab, the incognito window.
Mm.
Well, I did go into incognito, but I thought I closed down my other tab. But that's why I'm freezing. Hold on. Yep. Okay, let's see. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Uh, okay. All right. Um, all right. So then the men set out from there and they looked towards Sodom, and Abram went with them to set them on their way. The Lord said, shall I hide from Abram what I am about to do, seeing that Abram shall become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him? No, for I have chosen him that he may charge his children. And like, is he answering himself?
Yeah.
He's answering himself.
Sometimes you talk to yourself.
Well, he's like, should I hide from Abram? The Lord
Nah,
says,
nah, he gonna be all right, right? I do that myself. You never do that. You don't never do that. Should I? Should I
no,
cook? Nah, I
no.
ain't gonna cook today. I'm gonna hold off to tomorrow. I did that yesterday. I was supposed to go get a haircut, but I wasn't feeling well, and I didn't want to get my barber sick. But I woke up in the morning
But
like,
that ain't what's happening here, Bash. He's having an entire conversation with himself.
I
Look,
do this.
no,
Y'all,
listen to this conversation. It ain't,
yeah.
he's not saying, should I go do this? Nah, I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna hold on. That ain't what he's saying. Like he then answers himself again. I'm on the podcast. I'll come get him in a minute. Um, Then the man set out from there, and they looked down. They looked toward Sodom, and Abram went with them to set them on their way. The Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abram what I'm about to do, seeing that Abram shall become a great and
Did he say
mighty
it out loud?
nation? Yeah, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him." That's one question, right? And then he
Mm.
says, "No." He answers himself, "No, for I have chosen him that he may charge his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing righteousness and justice, so that the Lord may bring about for Abram what he has promised." Then he answers himself again. Then the Lord said, how great is the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah, and how very grave their sin. I must go down and see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry that has come to me, and if not, I will know.
Is this his internal thoughts, or is he saying this out loud?
He said, I don't know. It says he went with the men, and then Abram went with him.
You're right. So I'm saying, if he's saying out loud, "Shall I hide from Abram?" Then Abram heard him say, "Shall I hide from Abram?" And that would be
Well,
crazy, right?
then how do they know what's in the Lord's head?
That's what I was about to bring up, right? Because I can't say out loud, should I hide from Thinker what I'm about to do? Because Thinker would go, "What you doing? What you talking about?" Right? So I read this as an internal discussion.
It could be an internal discussion, but how do
Right?
they know what the Lord said to
That's
himself?
again. That's what I'm talking about. So now you know, like, there's no way for anybody to have what's the word I'm looking for? Access to my internal conversations, right? So I know that this is just literature, right? Because there's only an author has insight into a character's mental states, right? Only the author. There's no way. There's no way for anyone to know what's on my mind unless they're writing my story, right? Then they can put
Mhm.
whatever on my mind because they're writing the story, right? But this is how you know this is just a piece of literature. This is a piece of literature to explain why Israel is so blessed. These are the internal thoughts of Yahweh. These are
Why? But why is he talking about, like, he's like talking about himself in third person? Like, I get it. I agree. That it's the internal thoughts of Yahweh.
mm,
But when he says, um, "I have chosen him that he may charge his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord," it's like, instead of to keep my
keep
way.
my way,
Yeah,
right? Again,
it's just
this is
weird.
yeah, it's just weird, but it's because someone's trying to input into the story this idea that these people are supposed to, right? That this isn't like a, This isn't like someone recording what God said. This is someone putting into the
Right.
character's mind, right? And they're skipping tenses because on one hand, it's their thought. It's not Yahweh's thought because you're right. You would speak of yourself in first person,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
But
That's
but
what
this is
made me
someone
think that
inputting
it
thought.
was that he was saying it to the men that were with him, right?
But even
Because
if he was
they're
saying to the men that was with him, why wouldn't he say to them, they're gonna keep he's gonna keep my ways? He still wouldn't say the way of Yahweh, even if he was
right.
talking to them.
No, when it says, and the Lord said, when it says, and the Lord said, no, for I have chosen him that he may try. I thought, this is what I thought. So, because three of them were there, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, like, as it's switching back from Lord to Lord, that it's saying that these are the three talking, right?
Oh, I can see that too.
Yeah,
I
that's
wouldn't
what
knock
I
that.
thought.
Yeah. But if was he whispering it?
Huh? It says
Was
he
he
went with the
whispering?
men.
I'm
Huh?
saying, but was he whispering it?
I don't know.
Yeah. And the reason I'm bringing up if he whispered it is because if Abraham was there, he still would have heard it. Right. That's why I lean more, and this is just me. Again, this is up to however you want to read it. It doesn't really matter.
Look, listen,
Right.
Abraham heard it though.
Abraham
Abraham
heard that God was hiding something from him.
Abraham heard what he was going to do to Sodom. If this is God's internal thoughts, right? The
Mm.
very next scripture, so the men turned from there and went toward Sodom while Abram remained standing before the Lord. Then Abram came near and said, will you indeed sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Like
This is bad writing. This is bad writing. Because there's no way all that happened at the same time. That's just bad writing.
either Abraham heard him or I don't know, or somebody got into God's head. Like this is gonna be some great debate. Ooh, this gonna be fun tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
That
gonna have
because
some fun
either
tonight.
Abraham heard that, which is dumb that Abraham would hear it. Because imagine me saying out loud, "I'm having a surprise party for Thinker." What? You're having a surprise party for me? Wait, I fucked it up. Oh, I fucked it up. My bad. Right? Should I hide the surprise party from Thinker? What surprise party? Oh, you weren't supposed to hear that. Right? Like this is either just because I know that she'll come to Sebastian surprise. Wait, are you Sebastian? Again, this is just bad, right? It lacks continuity. It lacks continuity. So this is either something that's redacted or it's just bad writing. Right? Because it wouldn't make sense to say this out loud. Shall I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do? You now it's not hidden,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Just in
That's why
saying
I
that
say
one sentence.
it's yeah, it's either so we can't say definite, like we don't know. But we could say what would make sense. But it's either one of those. It's either that he did say it out loud and Abraham heard him and the guy just didn't have sense, or um these are God's thoughts, and then the Christians are gonna have to, or the theologians, whoever, are gonna have to explain how a human knew God's thoughts.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
Right, right.
And then
But
how
trying
did
to read this as if
Abraham
what'd you
and
say?
then the third one is how did Abraham know to even ask the God about his plans if he didn't say it out loud?
If you did say it out loud. And if you
Yeah.
did say it out loud, why would you say, shall I hide from Abraham? Like that,
Right.
you're not hiding it once you say, shall I hide it?
Yeah. So
Right.
those are three questions, right? That I have about this text. You see, then Abraham came near, hold on, sweep away the righteous with the wicked. Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city. Will you then sweep away the place and not forgive it for the 50 righteous who are in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to slay the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous fare as the wicked. Far be that from you. Shall not judge all the earth, do what is just. Shall not the judge of all the earth do what is just? And the
Right.
Lord said, if I find at Sodom 50 righteous in the city, I will forgive the whole place for their sake. Abram answered, let me take it upon myself to speak to my Lord. I who I who am but dust and ashes. Who is his Lord?
Yahweh.
This is lowercase.
Uh,
He says, I will forgive the whole place. Abram answered, let me take it upon myself to speak to my Lord, which is lowercase, Adon.
mm.
I am but dust and ashes. Suppose 5 of the 50 righteous are lacking. Will you destroy the whole city for lack of 5? And he said, I will not destroy it if I find 45 there. Again, he spoke to him. Suppose 40 are found there. He answered, for the sake of 40, I will not do it. Then he said, oh, do not let my Lord be angry if I speak. See, he why is it's got the Lord in lowercase, so he's talking to. Mm.
I'm assuming that in the case he's using it as a position, not as a Yahweh, as the position of being a Lord over me, but like right, like not what am I saying? Not the
So he's
Lord, but my
lowered Yahweh to
yeah.
like he's which is odd, right? Okay. Um, anger to speak. Suppose 30 are found there. He answered, I will not do it if I find 30 there. He said, let me take it upon myself to speak to my Lord. Suppose 20 are found there. He answered, for the sake of 20, I will not destroy it. Then he said, oh, do not let my Lord be angry if I speak just once more. Suppose 10 are found there. He answered, for the sake of 10, I will not destroy it. And the Lord went his way. When he had finished speaking to Abram and Abraham, when he has finished speaking to Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. Yeah.
Here, I want us to pay attention to one. Um, well, not one, but here's one of the things I want us to pay attention. Notice that even here, the negotiation is, "Hey God, I know what you want to do." You said somehow either because I read your thoughts or because you said it out loud. We had this understanding, but I know what you want to do. This doesn't seem like a good idea. Moses is going to do the same thing when Yahweh says, "I want to kill everybody." Moses is going to go, not a good idea, right? I know what you want to do, but it's not a good idea. Remember, I said earlier that we forgive God for His sins.
Yeah.
In this particular case, God has no mercy. Abraham is merciful,
Mm-hmm.
right? Abraham says, "Hey, don't do this because there may be some good people there, right? And don't cause the good to suffer with the bad." That wasn't God's idea.
Yeah.
God's idea was get rid of everybody. Don't cause the good to suffer with the bad. That was Abraham's idea. Abraham was more just than God in this situation. Right? You often hear the rebel rabbi or Hannah, and she'll say, "Oh, I kick God's ass in the Dennis parking lot."
Yeah.
Right, and the reason that you hear people say that is because they don't think of Yahweh as the most merciful, or all merciful, or all good, or having the best ideas, or any of that. Right, they believe that their ideas are just as good, maybe even better. In this case, a better idea. Right, and so Abraham was reasoning, midrashing per se, with God to say, "Hey, don't do that. That's a bad idea. That's not a good idea." Right. You'll find this later on, even when I talk about this all the time, where when Ezekiel says the children shouldn't suffer for the sins of their father. That's a bad idea. It's just
Yeah.
not a good idea. Right. Um, Now we read it. A lot of Christians read it as if the word of God is the word of God. It must be whatever God said is what it must be. Right. But that's not the case. Um, in a lot of Hebrew literature, a lot of Hebrew literature is about the arguments with the divine, and this is one of them. Yeah.
I think that's really, really interesting too, because it kind of shows that how we say that we assign the morals to the God or the
Yep.
ethics to the God. I think this definitely shows that. I also think that because the story focuses on hospitality and the humanness of the God in the very beginning of it, I think the second part is setting up for, oh, Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed because of their lack of hospitality.
Right. Because Abram was quite hospitable. came in, fed them, blah 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 blah. And again, you'll notice the same thing is true
Uh,
in what'd you say?
oh, I didn't say anything.
Okay, you'll notice that the same thing is true
I'm
in
not,
this
I'm not,
next story. I think you lagging. Am I lagging? Is it me?
I think it's me. I think I'm
Okay.
lagging.
Okay. Um, but yeah, so you'll notice the same thing's true. Speaking of that hospitality in the next chapter, the people who got spared were the people who were hospitable to the angels.
Hmm. There's
Right.
a lot in them, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. Yeah. And I guess Yahweh left, huh? Because it was only two angels that went down. Well, we'll get to that next time. We'll get to that next time. Um. But yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and when you try to seam all these together as if it's one story, it gets weird because these characters pop in and pop out. This is this tradition. This is this. We're trying to redact it into one thing. It just isn't. It isn't congruent. Like, or doesn't flow smoothly.
I think it's trying to show that the God is merciful. Like the writer didn't realize that it was Abraham, like Abraham saying it first is making it Abraham's idea. But I think it's trying to show that the God is merciful and willing to change his mind, or willing to um be merciful,
Or reasoned with,
and that
yeah,
humanist, huh?
or at least reasoned with. Even if he's not merciful, he's reasonable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think that's what it's trying to show.
yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, and I think that's what the yeah. It's just weird to me that the Sodom and Gomorrah thing, like, it's just weird to me. And the only thing that I could think of is the next chapter, like the why Sodom and Gomorrah was killed. Like, don't you think this is a weird place to put this?
This story,
Yeah. Like, oh,
um,
they went down. He said, "Let me go down." Go down where? Because he was already on Earth in a human body. I
yeah,
must go down and see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry that has come to me. Like, go down where? And then what outcry?
well,
Like, he's
outcry,
bound
yeah,
by time and space now. He's in a human body. He has to eat, he has to wash his feet.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Doesn't know why
yeah,
Sarah laughed. You know what I'm saying? This is
right,
just a weird place to put this, and it just feels like it's a setup for, oh, Sodom and Gomorrah was killed for lack of hospitality, their pride. Um, that they didn't share their wealth. They were because they were a fruitful town,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And they didn't share it.
yeah,
Uh, and so with Abraham saying, "Go get 36 pounds of wheat, go get all these calves," it's making it look like, oh, Abraham or Judah, right? They give, they're hospitable, right?
right,
That's what I think this is trying to show, because this is just a weird place to put this Sodom and Gomorrah story for me. Like, it just
yeah,
doesn't make sense.
yeah, 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 yeah. And trying to weave all these into one storyline, it gets weird because they're not from the same storyline. Like they're coming from several
Right.
different storylines. And you just kind of putting them in an order, you know, kind of a word association thing. And so, no, it doesn't necessarily make sense, but you ain't got to redact it some kind of way.
Yeah. Rachel says, is this the first parasocial relationship where we attribute the traits we want a personality to have? Probably so. Like,
Um,
the God, like, is this the first parasocial relationship that shows the personality traits that, believers want the God to have? A merciful God, a being able to interact with the God in the physical realm. Like, you know how people come on the live and be like, they have tea and crumpets with Jesus.
Miss Jesus Christ, he has more than that with him.
But I think so. I think that's a good observation, Rachel, because I think so. Because when the flood happened, Noah didn't have this type of relationship with the God, did he? We,
Nah, he wasn't able to. He didn't do any vying with, like, he didn't negotiate with him.
yeah.
He didn't negotiate with him.
Yeah,
I
Noah
guess
didn't even ask
maybe
to
in
save
the,
nobody.
yeah, maybe in the Hagar story where he sends Hagar back.
Has he
Um,
done that yet though?
no, no, yeah, I guess this is the first one. Yeah, this is the first one. Yeah, yeah, maybe so. Yeah,
Bria says, could this be angels speaking for Yahweh? But it literally says in the text though, that it is Yahweh, right?
yeah,
Uh it says the Lord, but the, in the lexicon it has Yahweh's name.
yeah.
So it's Yahweh with either two angels, two humans, or two other gods. Like it never says who the other two men are.
Yeah.
Have you checked the lexicon to see if it what
It
word is
doesn't
there,
say
or do
who
you
the
know?
men are.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't say who the men are for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I've read people say that these are two of the other sons of God, that this is the divine council, that these are angels, that these are just men. You can. There are traditions about all three.
Okay. All right. Did you have anything else you want to add to it? I think that was the
No,
end of chapter 18.
no. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that. I think it's a good place to stop so that we can really get into Sodom and Gomorrah on the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Now it's time. I get to go to bed now.
Get some
Well,
sleep.
I gotta get my grandson. He finna go to sleep. He just don't know it.
He just don't know
Mm-mm.
it.
I'm about to rock him to sleep. I'm about to sing his song to him and rock him to sleep.
Hey, enjoy yourself. Good to chat with you. Good. Thank you guys for being here, man. Thank you guys for hitting like and hitting share and all the things that you do. We really appreciate that. We're just trying to get our subscribers up to 1,000. We're not that far away. So if you could share this video, make sure you're hitting a like, make sure you're hitting the comments so that the algorithm will pick it up. Do all the things that make the algorithm help us out. Thank you so much for what you're doing and for being a part of this community. I want to just say thank you.
Thank you so much. And then let us know, hey la la, let us know how the live is helping you. If you have any questions, post them in the comments so that we can respond. That'll also help us get our engagement up. Thank y'all so much, and we'll see y'all in this on live later on tonight.
You get some rest and we'll chat soon.
I'm gonna go to sleep. All right.
Okay, though. All right.
Bye.